Hi everyone, my name's Lily and I'm the book reviewer behind Utopia State of Mind, and today I'm going to share with you 7 romance reads with musical main characters. I'm fully in my let's just embrace all of your niche interests era, and one of them has to be musicians as main characters. This is mostly inspired by the fact that I'm in halfway through Make the Season Bright, loving it so far. Ashley Herring Blake is one of my absolutely favorite authors and also romance authors. But it also reminded me of when I finished Not Another Love Song, which I finished last month and absolutely loved. And I was like, I feel like there should be more romance books with musician main characters. And so today I'm going to chat about 7 total. 3 I have read and 4 I have not read, which are on my TBR. Let's just start off with Make the Season Bright, which is the whole kind of immediate starting point for this one. As I said, I love Ashley Herring Blake so much. Ashley Herring Blake has written a bunch of YA books, and that's first how I started reading Ashley Herring Blake. But before Make the Season Bright, there was the Delilah Green, that series. I love that one. Not finished with it yet, but I love it so much. I haven't read Iris Kelly. But Make the Season Bright is a release coming out in October 1st. So it's coming out today. And it is a fantastic. I love how holiday books come out in October, like months before October, I guess, waiting for the momentum to kind of pick up by October, by December, especially for this one. But basically, it is a sapphic romance book about 2 exes. One of them, so Charlotte was left at the altar 5 years ago by her ex, Brighton. And so through a whole series of random coincidences and plans that don't work out, Brighton and Charlotte end up spending Christmas together through kind of the two. So they're invited to the same kind of Christmas holiday retreat, holiday kind of celebration by 2 sisters. So they know the 2 sisters through a variety of means. And musician wise, Charlotte is in a quartet. She is, I think, a violin player. And Brighton used to be in a band that has since gone popular after Brighton was kicked out of the band. So they're both musical characters. I wanted to start off with that. We got 2 for the book of 1. And I love it so much. The chemistry between them is so great. I love a good ex's second chance romance, and this one is so meaty. And it's so meaty as well because, as I said, they're left at the altar. Charlotte is left at the altar. And for me, what I've loved so far, how do I explain this without spoiling it? What I love so far is that the vibe of the second chance romance has very much been not like something, sort of one kind of event didn't kick it off, but this idea of like wanting something different and not being able to vocalize it, that has so far sort of been the vibe. As I said, I'm only halfway through, but sort of been the vibe for it. And to me, that is so deeply relatable that I just like am loving it so far. And the next one that also I had to think of, and actually the next one I immediately thought of after Make the Season Bright, is Not Another Love Song, which is spicy. Spicy. And it's also 2 musicians with a book of 1. And one of them is a cellist and one of them is a violinist. And so basically, the violinist is named first chair for the orchestra that they're both in, and then the cellist is like really upset about that. They were both kind of vying for that first spot, so they're also rivals. But there's so much more to that you will see in Not Another Love Story about why they're each individually going for that spot. And for example, for Gwen is the violinist. For her, getting that spot and like being in the orchestra as in general is kind of about security and safety and like futureness, I guess. And for Xander, he's trying to get the first spot. He wants to get the first spot to prove that he can. There's a whole lot of backstory about all of that. But throughout Not Another Love Song, it's about really kind of figuring out why we play, why we perform, why we create art. And it does kind of talk about the unfortunate nitty gritties of like funding and musical sort of being able to produce music, and music costs money, and like having to bow down to what other people might want from us and other expectations and security and safety. It also balances that and being true or wanting to be true to our authentic self at the same time. And as I said, spicy, like, and also it has one of my favorite kind of ending moments or ending conflict slash moments, I guess, at the end. Anyway, I listened to this when I was on vacation because I actually could not stop listening to it. And the last one that I have also read is A Very Merry Bromance, which is the fifth in the Bromance Book Club series. As a whole, this bromance book club series is just really, really fun. If you've read, I'm sure if you've read any of them, you will know how fun it is. Basically, just a series of a bunch of dudes who like each have relationship problems, and the whole club gets together and it's like, you need to read this specific book that will help you, this specific romance book that will help you figure out your romance problems. And so in Bromance Book Club number 5, we've had a lot of different kind of models of that repeated. And so finally, one of the main characters, Colton, he is a country music singer, and he ends up falling in, like, they end up having an encounter between him and Gretchen, and then a year later, Colton is like still struggling with music in terms of he's not really sure which direction he wants to go to, and then he randomly meets again Gretchen, who is struggling with her estranged family, and trying to figure out what she wants to do regarding them, their expectations, the strings attached, etc., and decides that she needs Colton to be the face of her family's whiskey brand. And so he helps her in exchange for 3 dates. So that is A Very Merry Bromance. This was just so cute. I loved this idea of two people and like the timing, finding the right person at the right time, and realizing that sometimes we just need to kind of leave and come back, I guess. It also has a similar kind of second chance vibes, except for this one, they're both really kind of delving into their second chance selves, I guess. And just as a whole, as the next or as the latest installment, I think it's the latest installment in the Bromance Book Club series, it's just a really fun way to tie up the series. I also love the whole Bromance Book Club concept. And so this one I had to mention, not two musicians, just one, but the other one is an immigration attorney. So that's also super cool. Now we're going to talk about the 4 that I have on my TBR. And the first one is Kiss the Girl. This is in the Meant to Be series, which is an adult romance series from various different authors who are taking on retellings set in an adult romance sphere. So, for example, Kiss the Girl is a retelling of Ariel, so like the Little Mermaid, essentially. In this case, Ariel is a famous singer. She and her sisters are known as the Siren Seven, and they're a pop band. And the band is setting up to do a farewell tour, and so Ariel, the main character, kind of just wants to do something else for the summer, kind of get out of the spotlight, but her father wants her to immediately go on to a breakout solo career. And then the night before their farewell tour, Ariel and her sisters sneak out for a night of incognito fun at a concert, and she meets Eric, who is a lead singer of an up-and-coming band. So again, 2 musicians for the price of 1 book. I have not read this one, as I said, but I've really enjoyed some of the other books in the Meant to Be series. I read If the Shoe Fits and By the Book. I just haven't read Kiss the Girl. And I'm also really excited for Tangled Up in You, a Rapunzel retelling, and Worth Fighting For, which is coming next year, which is a Mulan retelling. So in general, this series has been just so fun to see these kind of Disney or these fairy tale kind of things that we grew up with being retold in adult romance ways. Love it. The next one is Friends Don't Fall in Love by Erin Hahn. I've read a few of Erin Hahn's books in the past. Friends Don't Fall in Love features our main character Lorelai, who is a country music star, and she has a superstar fiance. And then she plays a tiny protest song at a concert and kind of ruins her future and also ruins her impending marriage to the superstar. And so 5 years later, she decides she will not accept that her career is over and decides to call one person to help her. And it just so happens to be her former fiance's co writer and bandmate. And obviously, that bandmate has had a thing for her. He is a backup bass player. So again, we're doing two for the price of one here. Um, and they're going to kind of figure out if they can rebuild her career. As I said, I've read a few Erin Hahn books in the past, and this one sounds super fun. Let me see, what other Erin Hahn books have I read in the past? Oh, I've read You'd Be Mine, which also I feel like is a musical book, I thought. And that's the last one I haven't that I've read, but I haven't read one in a while. I know Built to Last is actually on my audiobook shelf. Like, I actually own one of Built to Last, and maybe more than maybe. So anyway, I've really enjoyed You'd Be Mine, and so I definitely saw that one and knew that I had to mention that one. That one came out in 2023, by the way. The next one I want to talk about is A Song of Secrets. I've read a bunch of J.C. Lee's books. For context, J.C. Lee recently wrote Nine-Tailed, which I really enjoyed and featured a lot on Instagram, if you saw that. J.C. Lee has written a bunch of books, like 43 books. I've read The Dating Dare, A Sweet Mess, Nine-Tailed, Temporary Wife Temptation, Secret Crush Seduction. Like, I've read a bunch of J.C. Lee books, and I really, really love them. They're all just really, really fun. That Prince is Mine, I think, is the most recent release. Very excited for that one, and to finally read that one. But A Song of Secrets is about a cellist, and she is desperate to save her chamber music society. Then she discovers that her ex is an anonymous composer who is really popular at the moment, and she decides to ask for his help. Another two musicians for the price of one book. As I said, I've really loved J.C. Lee's books, and so I'm excited for this one. I love a good musician book, and I want to feel like someone, the sequel to A Song of Secrets called One Night Only also has a musician one. So an unknowing eighth book recommendation or TBR pick. And in One Night Only, there's a chamber violinist, Megan. Oh, it must be like the same trio of chamber musicians. And so Megan is the one in the One Night Only. She has a one night with a stranger and a surprise pregnancy. So an accidental pregnancy trope in this one. And the stranger turns out to be the CFO of her father's company. So that's a great twist. I'm definitely adding that one to my TBR. And the final one that I want to chat about is The Girl with Stars in Her Eyes, which has been on my TBR for so long. And I think I also own an audiobook copy of this one. And The Girl with Stars in Her Eyes is that she is a guitarist, and so she meets someone, and they decide that, typical to the struggling musician, they decide that they're just going to leave town and get away. We're not exactly sure what happens, but now in the present, she is making a name in the indie rock scene, and she decides to try out for a new band. And at the new band, she meets again the guy who they said that they would run away with, basically. So that's second chance. I'm not sure if he's a musician, but involved in the music world. And actually, the sequel to this series, Girls with Bad Reputations, is also features a musician character. She is another up-and-coming rock band singer, and she is a drummer and decides to kind of use music as an outlet to escape her life. When they're on their first official tour, ends up catching the eye, or the new tour bus driver catches her eye. So we have two different book series with musical characters, which I'm interested in, and I'm adding all of those to my TBR and also my library hold list immediately. And I hope that you found some recommendations here that you really liked. If you've read any of the TBR picks, please let me know down below if you like them, what your thoughts are, and of course, if you know any other musician books, also let me know. And I will see you in the next video.